And we're back again, and we're back again. So, let's talk about save files. Save files are fun. Save files remember when you punched your dog. And they can also do something with your games, I don't know. Now, primarily we're going to be focusing on the handheld side of Virtual Console. So, working off of what we did in the WiiU Virtual Console video, we're going to once again need our prepped up SD card, our modded WiiU, and we will also need a homebrew application called SaveMiiMod. We're also going to be using the Homebrew App Store as well to download SaveMiiMod, because it looks like there's a specific version that works. And finally, we're going to need a hex editor to mess with the save backups that we got. Got all that? Okay, let's go. For those who want to put in SaveMiiMod via the GitHub, here it is right here. And then you put it in the apps folder and it's as simple as that. I can't really speak much on how much better or worse it works compared to the Homebrew App Store version that I got, but hey, it's an option. Okay, so let's do it via the Homebrew App Store this time. On the search bar, let's just put in SaveMii. You should probably find it within the first few letters. And what we're looking for is the WUT port. I tried the other ones and they never really showed up on my Wii U at all. The WUT port is the one that worked for me, so we're going to download that one. And there we go. So let's get out of here and boot up SaveMiiMod. So using SaveMii is probably the easiest part of this tutorial. Granted, it's not the fastest thing ever, but it reliably gets your save files backed up, and unlike a similar program called Dumpling, it could not, to my knowledge, save things to the SD card like SaveMii could. If you're importing from an emulator, the most important thing you gotta remember is to wipe your save data of your Virtual Console. The WiiU Virtual Console has this odd little quirk that can basically override any imported save data with a restore point that might already be on the Virtual Console. The wipe command gives you the option to back up your current save before it goes through with the wipe. So keep that in mind before you get a little too trigger happy. Now we can take the time to back up our save file, and I'm actually going to do a couple of them. The first one I'm doing is basically the original save file, and the second one is going to be replaced by a save file in my emulator. So we'll do this with Mario Kart DS. Then Mario Advance 4. And then finally, my final example, Mario Land 2. Now that we got our saves backed up, let's take out our SD card and put it into the computer. Now let's put our save files on our computer so that we can use them on our emulators. I'll start with the DS first, as it's the most simple to do. From the root, we go to WiiU, and then to Backups, a new folder made by SaveMii. Identify Mario Kart DS's title key, which is shown right here, the slot number of the restore point, and then folder 80,000,001. There's a few files in here, but the one we're looking at is the one with the save extension. Let's grab that, shall we? And for kicks, I'm just going to put this in a new folder, just so I know where it is. Now, we will rename it. The extension has to be renamed from .save to .sav, and the title of the save file has to be renamed to the title of the ROM. And now, let's make sure the save file path is set to the location of the save file, and let's boot it up, see what we get. And everything checks out, we're looking good. And now for the Game Boy Advance. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated. Let's identify the folder. Appears to be the one that ends in D00 for our Mario Advance 4. We'll open folder 14, because that's the file we're going to replace. Then we got another 80,000,001 folder, and we got quite a number of files again, and they're all completely different this time. Not to worry though, we're going to take the one that has the 008 on it. So let's grab that, And we'll set that nicely in our folder full of WiiU save files. We can rename this one as well. Like before, match the save files title to the title of the ROM you're using, and the extension once again gets renamed to .sav. We're not quite done yet, because as you might have noticed, the size of this save file does not match that of a typical save file. And so, once again, we are going to dust off that good old-fashioned hex editor. Now, what I'm doing here is using a save file I already have on my emulator, and using that as a comparison. Now, you might notice the SMA 4, which I presume to be Super Mario Advance 4. I believe those in the business call that a header. This will be very important in identifying which bytes of information we're going to be keeping in our save file. Now, with all that information said, we can go grab our Virtual Console save file, and we'll run it in the other hex editor instance. We're now going to scroll down for quite a bit. We are looking for the address at 00004080. You'll know you're in the right spot when you see the header. Now, what we're going to do now is remove every single bit of data from address 0000 to 4080. Just to make sure our bit count is right, let's scroll all the way down to the end of both. And we're looking for 1FFF0. If they both end at that address, then we are good to save. Now to test it out. Here's a sample save file that I played on my emulator, where I played a couple more of the stages. And now I'm going to put the ROM into the save folder, because I keep messing up the paths, and playing it with the Virtual Console save file this time. And we'll once again do a side-by-side comparison. And we are golden! And finally, let's do the standard Game Boy example. So this is mostly the same as the Game Boy Advance, but there is a slight difference, and that is in the hex editor side of things. We'll just rename the file like we normally do, and head immediately to the editor. Just to make sure everyone's on the same page, the WiiU save is on the left, and the emulator version I got from my 3DS is on the right. The offset on the hex address for this one is quite a bit further down. The location of the hex address for this one starts at 12,080, and it ends right after location 14,070. We're going to remove every bit of data from 14,080 and above, and then we're going to remove every bit of data from point 0 to 12,070. If it ends at 1FF0, then we are good. Third verse, same as the second. Here's the save file on my emulator. And here's me moving my ROM to the Virtual Console save folder, just to make sure that save is working right. Let's get a little side-by-side comparison over here. I know it ain't much proof to go off of, but this is in fact the save file from my WiiU. Alright, that's all our handheld saves successfully put into our emulators. But what about the inverse? Well, thankfully everything can be put into reverse, though there are a couple more steps to add. Special thanks to SixPixDney on GBA Temp to explain what the heck we gotta do here. Let's bring out our majestic hex editors and get to work. We're going rapid fire now, so keep your focus. First, let's go to the folder of your emulator save. For instance, I have this save on Mario Kart DS that has all the characters on it. Grab that lad and send it over to the WiiU backup folder where we got our Virtual Console save from. We're gonna toss all the other files in there, but before we do, we're gonna copy the title and extension of the save file. Delete those files, paste that emulator save, and rename the title and extension to that of the Virtual Console save. The DS is now prepped and ready to go. Now for the Game Boy Advance. We'll start by getting rid of the 2 bin files that aren't part of the save, with the 008 save remaining. We'll toss our emulator save in one instance of the hex editor, and we'll toss the Virtual Console save in the other. We're going to select the entirety of the emulator save, and then we'll copy it. Locate hex address number 4080 on your Virtual Console save, and we'll select every address number from there until the end, at 24,070. Then we paste all the numbers, Mason, and then we can save to overwrite it. The Game Boy Advance save file is now ready to go. And now finally for the Game Boy. This process is very similar to that of the Game Boy Advance. Let's start by putting our emulator save in the first instance of our hex editor. Get rid of the unnecessary bin files and place the 008 bin file in our second instance of the hex editor. Grab the entirety of the hex values from the emulator save. On the Virtual Console save, locate the beginning of the hex address, located at 12,080. We will make a selection all the way through to the end of 14,070. Paste the entirety of our hex values on our emulator save over to the selection on our Virtual Console bin file, and then hit save. And now our Game Boy save file is ready. Okay, now for the final stretch. We'll go back to SaveMiiMod, and we will first wipe our save data of our given Virtual Console Inject. This is important because any save data found on our Virtual Console Inject will simply overwrite the save file that we're trying to restore with. Once that's done, we can finally go ahead and hit restore, and get the save that we modified onto our Virtual Console Inject. Enjoy your good old-fashioned gaming on a Wii U tablet. Before you go, I'll show you proof that everything we did works. Here's Mario Kart DS first.
Alright.
Now we got Super Mario Advance 4.
Yep, that's the one.
And finally, Super Mario Land 2.
3 for 3, alright.
But other than that, I think we're done here. My name is Lego Vince, and I will see you when I see you. Take care, and enjoy the fruits of your labor.